Arcade1up's brand problem, AtGames 4K issues, and Unico's questionable design change. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Another episode of This Week, the show we're talking about what happened this week in home arcades, episode 136. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Man, a lot of stuff going on this week here at the Fox Den, the old arcade. So got a lot of stuff accomplished. Well, I say accomplished. 90% there. Didn't quite get it done, which means couldn't quite get the video done. But we're making a lot of progress on Hydro Thunder. Got a huge upgrade this weekend. Going to finish that up probably tomorrow. Try to get that video out fairly quickly. Still working on the latest edition, the latest chapter of Crazy Taxi. You see running in the background. That is in editing. It's in the editing phase. It's underway. Also have another mod going on. Bought a second. Yeah, I know. The guy that was talking all the crap about the deluxe cabinets from Arcade1up is buying a second one. It's the exact same one that I bought before that I put the Alien versus Predator mod in. So this is another one. But no, we're not keeping in stock. We're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to show you all that next week. I'd like to get all three of those videos edited and done. So we'll see, knock on wood, maybe, possibly, potentially that could happen. So what's going on, everybody? I hope you got a lot accomplished as well. Weather is just getting weird. I wish it would just set. I mean, I know this is kind of the remaining days, months of winter, but it would really be nice to just get the hell out of here and bring on the spring, because I want sunshine. I really want sunshine. Those of you in the South, I'm happy for you that you have sunshine for sure. I know Texas is looking great. So what else, what else is looking great? What's in my glass right now? We are drinking Jefferson's tonight. Once again, always a standby. Going to change it up. Probably next weekend will be the last of the Jeffersons. And well, depending on how my week goes, it may be even worse than that. And I want to switch it up. So cheers, everybody. Hope you're drinking something good. And I hope you're ready to sit back and relax for an hour of home arcade talk, home arcade news. So we talked about what I'm drinking. We talked about what I did this weekend. Let's talk about the poll question. Every single week, we have a question up in the poll. If you look over here in the chat, over there, click on the little blue tab on the top, and it is a poll question. This week, it's simply this. If you even care about the AtGames 4K pinball, I think a lot of people do. A lot of people that have been on the fence, maybe still on the fence. So the question is simply this. And if you don't know what we're talking about in regards to the issues they're having, we'll talk about that tonight. It's actually going to be the first topic up for tonight for debate. The question is simply this. What effect are the AtGames issues having on your 4KP purchase? You got four options here. First option is, hey, I already own it. I have it at home and everything's great. There's a lot of people out there. I know we're going to talk about some of the, the issues they're having, but there are a lot of people that, hey, I got mine, everything's fine. So if you're in that camp, congratulations. Please vote. Let me know how that is. That's really important to help us that haven't really jumped on board yet, made that purchase, help us kind of gauge exactly where, what percentage are the problems. So that's your first one. The second one is, yeah, I own it, and this really sucks. All the issues we're going to talk about later on tonight. Number three is, hey, listen, if you fix those issues, I'll buy it. So you're kind of, you're sitting over on the sidelines, you're waiting, you're watching and see, okay, we understand we're reasonable, rational people. We understand that everybody has issues. Somebody has, they have problems, let's get those bugs worked out. And then I'll jump in and buy. And then number 4 is, listen, no buy. I've seen what's going on. I'm just not interested. It's just not worth the risk. It's crazy. It's too much money. No, I'm out. That's definitely an extreme, but definitely a negative, and definitely a lot of the camp that a lot of people I think are in right now. So 48 votes so far. Jump up in there and let your voice be heard. I'm curious to know what everybody thinks. If there was a 5th option, I would have put that up there saying, I don't care. Because not everybody's into virtual pinball, but this is a big thing. This is one of the big innovations in home arcade this year, due to the lack of other companies doing stuff, right? So we have a couple big steps forward. We're talking about these companies tonight, AtGames and Unico, pushing forward with something a little bit different, a little higher end, a little more expensive, but something a little more different. Now, once you go beyond a certain price point, we start really scrutinizing the company and the product before we decide to make that purchase. Okay, so let's go ahead and say hi to the first 10 in the chat. What's going on, everybody? I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for commenting or continuing to comment early, getting your questions in or getting your comments in. Let's start with number one. Number 1, we've got Highwayman. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you again. Oh, yeah, time for Fox. The Foxhole? No, it's the Fox Den. We're going to have to just change that. See, this is what I'm saying. You say Foxhole, and if you're military-minded, sure, but if you're not, you're thinking that could go sideways pretty quick. Thank you so much for being here and taking the number 1 spot at 9:30 a.m. Good on you. Good to see you. Gamebroker 84. Happy Sunday, Fox. When do you think you will take the plunge in an AtGames pinball 4K? What skins do you want? Well, I think that I'm definitely watching to see what's going on with these issues, get that worked out, but there's still not a skin that really grabs me. I think I'm going to need some kind of a tie-in. I would love one of those universal tables, but I don't know. If they don't release any more skins and we're just stuck with what we got, I would probably wait for Attack from Mars to go on sale, or maybe even Peanuts. That's actually a pretty good looking table. The machine itself, that's a pretty good control. The scheme, just the look of it. Adam's Family, I know a lot of people are digging it. I don't know. I'm not really liking it. I think it's fine. Aesthetically, there's nothing wrong with it, but it just kind of is. It is what it is. It's just not for me, I guess. So yeah, I think that I would probably jump on Attack from Mars because that's the safest bet, right? And maybe Peanuts. I know I'll be paying full price, but maybe they will come on. So maybe I could wait for a National Owners Day in the future and get one of those. But man, Back to the Future, I'd be all over that. I would be all over that. But we'll see. We'll see. You never know. There's some rumblings tonight we're going to talk about. Coming in at number 3 is CB Fluid. Speaking of AtGames 4K pinball, any chance we could see a Ghostbusters theme? I'll be all over that. The thing that really gives me, kind of encourages me that we might actually see that is because of this push from Sony to really get the Ghostbusters universe going. Any kind of brand tie-in is a good thing for them. Now they're kind of failing on the Spider-Man universe. Besides Spider-Man and Venom, that's been their only cinematic successes. They're trying like hell to get that going. You can see them trying to do the same thing with Ghostbusters. So I think that they would be willing at this point to absolutely lend the license to a table. So I think that they would be open. What's that going to cost? Don't really know. But I think that they're not. That's probably not the most valuable IP out there. There's other ones out there that are probably more valuable, and they're trying to get that out there. So I could see it. I absolutely could see it. What's the chances? If I was going to give it a percentage, 50, maybe, just right down the middle. I don't really know. I don't have anything that's pushing me either way, but maybe I think it's probably better than that. Probably 60-40. Coming in at number 4 is my brother, Gotham City Arcade. What's going on, buddy? Good to see you. As always, hey, Battle, I feel sad for all the early adopters for the AtGames Pinball 4K. What is going on over there at AtGames? First, it was Arcade1up. Now it's AtGames. Well, I will say this, and we did see this with some of the issues with the online play, with Arcade1up pushing something forward, trying to do something like Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Still having issues to this day. Haven't fixed it. But I will give AtGames this, that they're actually pushing forward the technology side. Now, some of the issues we're going to talk about are systemic with AtGames. It seems like every year when they try to launch something, a bunch of new packs, the server goes down. Everybody buys a bunch of pinball tables. They try to go online and it all just crashes. So they need to work on their infrastructure for sure. So, the same thing could be said about Arcade1up. At the end of the day, I think they get excited about the idea of online competition. Even if it's just posting leaderboards, they get all fired up about it. But once they start hitting walls, they got to realize, okay, what's the risk reward? How much money are we getting, time are we going to pour into this? Is it going to put any more money in our pocket? Is this really going to, how many more tables, how many more machines is this going to actually sell? So I think at some point they just say, listen, here, this is just it, right? This is just going to be what it's going to be. And worst case scenario, we have a couple server crashes once or twice a year. And they may be just okay with it. Because from what I understand, from what I've been paying attention to recently, this is not the first time this has happened. Thank you so much for being here, man. Beach Native 78 coming in at number 5. Didn't take the number 1 spot. I appreciate you allowing other people to jump in. But still, you commented at 10:30, which is about your time. So I got you. Snuck it in. What's up, Foxy in chat? So I bought the MetaQuest 3 last Sunday as an early birthday present since the Vision Pro was going to cost me my firstborn. And I'm not sure what Apple's even doing with that. So whatever. I think I'd much rather go with the MetaQuest. My son has the 3, and it's awesome, and it's reasonably priced. So for what it is, until I see some killer app with what Apple's doing, I really don't care. I don't care. That's just crazy. Do you happen to own one? Oh yeah, I guess I should answer your question. Yeah, the MetaQuest 3 was something that I was actually. Augmented reality is something that I'm much more interested in than just virtual reality. Virtual reality is really tough to nail down. We also had the Quest, or it wasn't called the Quest. It was called something. I think it was something. The second one. We had the second version of that. It was a different name. And when it's 100% virtual reality, it's tough to be grounded, and so I get disoriented. After a while of playing, you just get kind of, when you're in this virtual world, even though you set up your boundaries, before you start playing the game, it's still, you kind of lose yourself, and I get disoriented. With augmented reality, man, I can flip my head around a lot, move really, really fast, and I'm good because my brain still thinks that I'm still in the room that I'm in because I can see a portion of it. So now how much can you do with that? It's kind of hard to be completely immersive in something that's, that's just augmented reality, not virtual reality. But hey, it is what it is. Virtual or augmented reality is just reality. It's the reality we live in. And the reality is that $5 doesn't go a long way, except it's in the form of a super chat. This one comes from Kevin Clausen. Thank you so much for your $5, buddy. I really do appreciate it. Red alert. I've been checking all around my house for change. I can't find $5 to join this Illuminati after show. Fox doesn't have a brand problem. You just instead of the super chat, brother, just jump in and join the club. I don't even know. I got to look up here and see if you're just messing with me. Are you even you're not a member, are you? Just it is what it is, man. Come on. I would forgive the lack of super chats if you just decided to take the plunge and become a member. Thank you so much for your super chat, brother. Really do appreciate it. And of course, if you can't go to the after show, there's only one place for you to go, and that is to the pit.
Finish him. Melina wins. Flawless victory. Fatality.
All right, coming in at number 7 is Show Gecko. Hey, Fox, sorry I missed you in Chicago. Next time for sure. No problem. I know it was kind of a last minute, and that was definitely one of the members only things. I kind of let all the members know where I was going to be. So part of the membership perks, I guess, if you enjoy hanging out with a YouTuber, that may be a detriment. Maybe I need to take that off the list. So that's what I'm getting them. People are not convinced. They're not convinced. I was also curious if you had a quest. I have one and love it. As usual, Miller Lite in the hand tonight. Bourbon, as you were. Yeah, the quest is not bad. Don't play it. Like I said, it's my son's, so I'm only allowed to play it every once in a while. Coming in at number 8. Is that right? Yeah, Frank D, what's going on, buddy? The brand problem is that John D doesn't work there anymore, and the guy they replaced him with doesn't have the clout to get new licenses. Bullet tonight, not a bad choice. I need to get more bourbon this week. It should be a priority. This week, go out and find something affordable and something, something interesting, something different. It's easy to do if it's affordable. Is what it is. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. Coming in at number 9, we've got Dan Z is in the house saying, hi, how's it going? Good to see you, man. Always good to see you. Thank you so much for being here, brother. Really do appreciate the constant support, and super chats are a great way to support. Following the lead of Kevin, is this guy right here. Maximum low blow, not just minimum low blow, maximum low blow with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. I have no brand loyalty anymore. Whichever company can give me House of the Dead 2 is the company that will be getting my money. Absolutely. I mean, Arcade1up was kind of the only game in town offering some variety. We have other companies doing that. At the end of the day, that is exactly what you should be doing. Brand loyalty doesn't really mean much if they're not giving you the product that you want, which is exactly where you should be. So absolutely, wait for the right product at the right price. Brand loyalty, be damned. Thank you so much for your $5 super chat, buddy. Really do appreciate it. Let me give you something. Let me give you something a little bit different. Here you go. And coming in at number 10 is JJ. What's going on, buddy? Thank you so much for being here. Greetings, 19K Fox. Arcade1up has more than brand problems. AtGames Nod was a bit of a shite show, and I haven't heard about Unico. Well, tonight, you're going to hear all about it. And we're going to, bit of a spin on what you may be thinking as far as Arcade1up's brand problem. We're going to talk about that just a little bit later. Everybody else that I wasn't able to say hi to, thank you so much for being here. But we're 16 minutes in. You know what that means, is that we got to go ahead and start the show. AtGames issues, of which there have been many. Poor AtGames. Poor AtGames. You try to get something going. You try to get something off the ground. You try to be the last standing, giant in the home arcade space. AtGames basically committing, Harry Carey. iArcade, rip. Just couldn't cut it. Just couldn't make it. And so, you kind of want to be the big dog standing. Unico is fighting like hell to get up there. But AtGames, I think, objectively, is probably sitting atop the pile. The pile. It should be a mountain, but it's a pile of failure in some aspects. But they've really been, for the most part, I think, consistent, driving forward. And when you try to drive forward, push everything forward, you are going to have some issues. Now, when you release a new product, once again, you're going to have new issues, even if you're not necessarily pushing it forward. Technically, it's just a new thing. So what I mean by that is packaging. It's become a bit of an issue. If you design something completely new from the ground up, you have to think about a different way to package it, to transport it safely. Arcade1up has done this. They have actually, one of the few areas that really, really increased in quality is the way that they package their cabinets, the way they flat pack them, the way they get them in the boxes, all that. I'm not going to stop saying it because I think it's a really good, I know it's a little thing, but, and I'm noticing it with these deluxes, they've continued that on. The closed cell foam that they've used in the corners is really a good thing. It's real thick foam. It prevents some of the corner damage, some of the things that you will, see or hear about tonight in this show. Another thing you're going to hear about tonight in this show is another super chat from Kevin Clausen, $5. Thank you so much for being here, buddy. Brand loyalty doesn't mean much, but you know what does? This super chat. I'm still looking for the $5 to join the after show. You go with the show. I don't understand the math, but hey, I guess I'll take it.
Finish him. Scorpion wins. Fatality.
So we're talking about National Owners Day and some of the issues that they were having. I mean, that really wasn't necessarily an issue. A lot of packs, a lot of things you could buy, purchase, download, ready to go. And with all the best intentions, still things happen. Crap happens, right? So heading on over to the AtGames fan pages, where you try to get, being someone who hasn't purchased one of their larger devices, no VPN purchases over here. This is where I kind of get my information. I'm watching to see what's going on. And so you have a couple things going on. We'll talk about the first message was actually, I think, on the bottom regarding the 4K digital pre-order codes that were sent out, which was kind of a big issue. This was not something to take lightly. You spend a lot of money. I mean, good Lord, I think Mike B said he was going to spend $300 on DLC, the pinball tables. He's crazy. He's a madman. He's a loose cannon on the edge. who doesn't play by the rules. Anyway, so regarding those pre-order codes, if you received a code in error, we found the issue regarding the distribution of the pre-order codes for Peanuts. I think specifically, Pinball 4K pack pre-order customers were sent an incorrect code, which is I wonder what you got. I wonder what you really got. I wonder if you would take that code and try to redeem it at other major websites. Did anybody try to take that code and just go and just put it into like Best Buy and see if it equaled like a gift card? I'm just curious where the hell these numbers come from. Where was the incorrect code? Where did it come from? Was there just one digit off? Some guy put a 4 instead of a 3 or whatever? Our team has pinpointed the root cause of the issue and is diligently working to ensure that you receive the correct 4K pre-order code via email and have it accessible in your digital locker very soon. What? Please be patient. While very soon. How about immediately? How about right now? If you've identified the problem, if it was simply an incorrect code, just give us the right code. What the hell are you doing? If you spent the money, you bought the stuff, you're waiting for that download code. This is where I know it's extremely convenient, and that is absolutely the way to go when it comes to these products. But man, to have a physical copy of something, I mean, would just be a hell of a thing, wouldn't it? If you just walk into a store, I mean, I know it's untenable. It can't really happen with AtGames, the way their infrastructure is and all that, but it would just be nice to have a physical copy of this stuff that we buy. Physical media dying leaves us all just sort of shaking our heads because you are completely at the whim of the servers of these companies, the download speed of your internet provider. All of this stuff is just, there's a lot at play. There's a lot going on. And then God forbid, whoever they is, the company just loses the license and, oh, sorry, we're going to take that back. Not saying it's going to happen here, but it has happened with other major companies. Also, a hell of a time for your servers to go down. The servers went down. Yes. So regarding this is another message from AtGames regarding the servers. Currently, the servers are down. Now, we are working as quickly as possible to get them back up. We ask for your patience while we work to get things back up for you guys as quickly as possible. We ask to please not submit support tickets. we know it's broke, but don't tell us how broke it is. Or don't even reach out to them via live chat regarding this, as it is currently being fixed and will only cause further support delays with other support issues. Thank you in advance for your understanding. Well, the problem I have there is, how do you know all the problems unless someone tells you what the problems are? To just assume that everybody's having the exact same problem is tone deaf. I mean, what if there's some other specific issue? I mean, yes, you're probably going to be flooded with a bunch of repeat, a lot of people saying, hey, listen, it's the same issue, right? Over and over again. Everybody's telling you the same thing. Sure. But that's kind of the nature of the business, right? What if there's 4 or 5 people having a completely different issue? You need to be receptive. You need to be aware of that. Don't tell people to just, hey, we know it's bad, but don't tell us. But one thing that you should be told is when and where to smash like buttons, and it's happening right here. Snowdub's in the chat, being a killer moderator as always, telling y'all, giving you the good advice, dispensing the knowledge. Smash the like button. Absolutely. The hits didn't stop there. I thought this was funny. I don't know that a lot of people were talking about this, but I'm just I'm scrolling through. I'm reading some of these issues, some of these statements from AtGames. This is just kind of blowing me away. So issue number 3, this is all within a couple of days, right? This is regarding the 4KP speakers. There have been some customers reporting that their speakers give off a static, muffled sound or sound blown. I guess the sound is blown. Upon further investigation, we are finding that is actually not the... I love it when, hey, hi, how are you? Yeah, I'm standing right here. This machine sounds like the speakers are blown. And they say, actually, we from another state have investigated. No, that's actually not the problem. Oh, it's weird because I'm standing right here. It's a muffled sound. It sounds like the speakers are blown. It sounds horrible. No, that's not the problem at all. And they went on to say, actually, that's not the case. And it is one of the songs that sound like that. Okay. So you have a song that sounds so horribly bad that it mimics with precision the sound of static. So much so that a lot of people are convinced enough to reach out to you and start a ticket. Okay. They continue on to say, if you feel your speakers may be experiencing an issue, before reaching out to support, okay, please do a sound test on your device. This can be done by going to Settings, Health Check, Sound Test. If it sounds fine here, then your speakers are working as expected with no issues. If you do experience sound issues here during the test, please record the issue to provide to support and submit a support ticket to us at the link below, and a dedicated support agent will assist you momentarily. I'm sure they'll be right there, right on top of it. Well, that's just a little bit frustrating for people that are, listen, I can hear this. It sounds bad to me, so I'm going to record it, and then I'm going to play it back to you, and you're going to say, well, I don't know, it sounds okay to me. It's probably just that song, the song that we've all heard of. We sing it. I sing it in the shower all the time. It's called Muffled Static. That's my jam. That's dope. So that's frustrating. It's really frustrating to tell people that. I mean, if that's the case, there's something wrong. That song, whatever that song is, I mean, I would think that would probably be more of like a sound effect. But if you're saying that's a song and it's supposed to sound like that, no. I'm like the guy on Back to the Future. I'm sorry. You're just too damn loud. You're just gonna, next, please. How about you just delete that song? Play a different song. A song that doesn't sound like, muffled static. I'm not an engineer. I think that's what I would do. And hits just keep on coming for AtGames. Once again, scrolling through, this is within a day, the other posts, and you're seeing massive issues with the screens. I mean, this is really, really rough. Damage all over the place. This was a massive issue. The picture on the left-hand side here, where you've got this streaking, that is just not good. Every image shows this streak. So now here now I have a monitor issue. Now I've got to get a replacement monitor. That's not good. It's not good at all. The image on the right-hand side, I think if I read this correctly, you see someone else's damage. Okay. The boxes arrived today and appeared to be in pretty good shape. So this was another thing. It was this is a little bit weird. So if you read what Mark Nichols said, I said, shows up, boxes look fine, okay? Yet there's still there was a painful surprise inside. You can see the painful surprise inside. Smashed corners, wood destroyed. It's just not good. For anyone else who's had side panel damage like this, what is the standard resolution? Will I have to ship the whole thing back and wait for a new one to be shipped out to me? I had and this is funny. This is interesting. I had them pre-install the SSF kit version. So I imagine that will make getting another take even longer. I'm very sad. So is the issue that, hey, they pre-installed, so as they took the machine apart, or so that as they did the install and then repackaged it, did they have to unpackage it? Was this done before it was put in the box? Because Mark is saying, hey, the boxes look fine. So, I mean, so what the hell? So now you can't even trust them to install your speaker kit? It's a damn shame. And if you spend any time on the fan pages, you'll see that there's actual damage, like massive damage to some of the monitors where they fire the whole thing up. There's no scratches, no physical damage, but the monitors themselves are cracked, busted in the corners. It's really tough. And this is not just an AtGames issue. We saw a lot of this with Arcade1up, and I've seen a lot of this with other companies. But to be fair, to be perfectly honest with you, there's a lot of people on these websites, on the fan pages, that are saying, hey, everything's fine. I mean, I'm rocking, everything's good. Yeah, the servers are down. That's affecting everybody. But I'm doing great. The machine showed up fine. A lot of people are saying, hey, everything looks great, except the topper has a crack. There's a lot of people with topper issues, a lot of cracks on toppers, and I'm thinking maybe that's just, I think there's a lot of this goes back to the packaging, the appropriate packaging for this new thing they made. I know it's not a huge departure from what they've done in the past, but the dimensions and everything are different. So what's the issue here? Box is too small, padding's not thick enough, not enough padding. Should you add some cardboard around? I mean, there's something has to be done. Something has to change. Hopefully, the next few waves. I mean, this is probably too late to change on a lot of these products now, which is why I'm glad I have not purchased one as of yet. No pre-orders made yet. I know I'm probably going to miss out on some of those deals, save $100 here, $200. But I think it's worth it to sit back and watch this unfold. Now, if there was some kind of a table that just dying for, I had to have, then maybe I would have taken the plunge. And maybe that's going to happen, because also amongst all the other chaos and bad stuff going on, there was a potential leak on a website talking about some of the future tables that could be coming out. Now, these could be just packs. I don't know if these are going to be actual tables, but it's interesting that some of these, and this is going to be downloaded tables, but I'm talking maybe, just maybe, possibly, could we see some kind of addition? And the first one, if you look over here on the Zen tables, this potential list, and this is this is a potential list. This is not, it's a leak. It's not 100% confirmed or anything like that. The first one on the Zen list is Star Wars Mandalorian. So if they were to do a digital version of Mandalorian, that's going to be a tough one to pass up. Especially if you dig. I mean, I love season 1 and 2 of Mandalorian. Season 3 completely fell apart for me, but I dig the machine too. I like it. I think it's still ranked pretty high as far as Stern pinball machines. So this is something that, okay, I'm interested in that. And that's a pretty big get, right? Even though Star Wars, the brand itself, is not quite as valuable as it used to be, still Star Wars Mandalorian, pretty good thing. And then DreamWorks, the 3-pack, you're going to have, there's Garfield, My Little Pony, which I know Nostalgia would be absolutely excited for. He's probably got that one on. He's probably the one that leaked this list because he was excited about the potential My Little Pony table that could exist. Chucky. So now we got some M titles. This is looking really good. The Thing is another one. I would be all over that if they made, if that came out as an addition. But at the bare minimum, you're looking at some of these, and it's like, well, these are going to be awesome tables. I mean, even if these are just download packs, these would be incredible. Moving on over to some of the Sega Data East stuff, you got Flight 2000, Whoa Nelly, Big Buck Hunter, Frankenstein, Ridley's Believe It or Not, Starship Troopers. Dude, the Star Trek Vengeance Premium, the Big Hurt Frank Thomas. So, I'm thinking Starship Troopers is something that I would just absolutely geek out about. And if nothing else, even if these are just coming as packs, as downloadable, tables, this is still pretty exciting if this stuff happens. Potentially, though, if there was, if I was going to look at some of these and think, okay, if they came out with that table, if that skin, if that theme was there, would I buy it? Mandalorian is up there for sure, depending on kind of which way they go with that. The Thing would be sick, man. The Thing would be cool. That would be really. I'm kind of a John Carpenter fan. The Thing is just, I mean, the original movie, not the remakes and all this. No, I'm talking about the original movie with Kurt Russell, just epic. And Starship Troopers, I'm also a big fan of that movie. So that would be something that, I think that I would be curious about. I would really consider it. And at least, if nothing else, these are definitely things that get me a little bit more excited about, hey, potentially getting, as if there wasn't a great list of tables already. And that's the great thing that AtGames has done. There's just a huge infrastructure. There's a ton of downloadable content, tables out there that are worth buying the product for. I'm just not of the mind that there's anything that I've seen that's going to make me jump out right now and drop $1,500 on one of these tables. But even though all the issues that I think could eventually resolve themselves, I think over time, I think if they make a change, you got to allow time for that correction to happen. At the end of the day, if I got to spend full price to maybe get a pinball machine that is damaged, that's going to be in a theme that I want, I think at the end of the day, that's money well spent. Unico, the Nova Blast. So if you've been paying attention to the Nova Blast, if you've been paying attention to social media regarding the Nova Blast cabinet, you have seen a lot of videos about them testing basically every board under the sun. Every single JAMA board out there, they've been checking out, they've been testing. It looks great. I don't think compatibility is really going to be an issue. When you're talking about standard arcade games that just 2 players, 2 fighters, whatever, right? Side-scrolling beat 'em ups, take your pick. If it's JAMA, here you go. And if it's not JAMA, there's still a lot of boards out there that you can get a JAMA conversion for. Neo Geo wasn't natively JAMA. It had a little bit of a different connector type. So, but there are different boards, different adapters that would allow you to play stock Neo Geo MVS boards, through a JAMA connected cabinet. So it's all very possible. The great thing about the Nova Blast cabinet and being JAMA is that JAMA has existed for decades at this point. So there's a lot of different smaller companies out there that have come up with different ways to kind of adapt to a JAMA setup. And a lot of that, for the most part, has been relegated to full-size arcades. And a lot of people just aren't willing to tackle a full-size arcade. But if we get with the Nova Blast, and now you have like a new demand for JAMA compatible devices, even if we're just talking about Pandora's boxes, instead of getting the home edition, you're going to get the JAMA edition and plug it in and away you go. So it's going to be interesting. So there's been a lot of excitement about it, I think, for those of us that are into it. Not everybody's into it. I'm not saying that everybody's just overjoyed and freaking out. The price is a little high for some people. I don't mind it so much. Less than half the cost of my Astro City. But come on, baby. That's an Astro City. Anyway, so for the most part, it's been a good looking cabinet. I think it's been received pretty well. Like I said, it's not a carbon copy of a candy cab, but it's definitely a homage to it. And I, for the most part, have been excited to see the development so far. Interested to get my hands on it and check it out. Love to put it side by side, next to my say Astro City, and then see how it all shakes out. See what that experience is like. So we just to kind of give you a little bit of a background. So this is some of the so we've seen the cabinet overall. I wanted to focus on some of the stuff behind the scenes. So if you're a nuts and bolts person, if you've built cabinets, if you're curious how they've been putting this thing together, these are some of the original initial images and pictures of kind of how this thing was going together. If you look on the backside, what kind of plug into to this and play. And you can see the encoders and all the breakout boards. You can see that big beefy JAMA connector. And one thing I noticed when I first saw this was the actual power supply on the right-hand side. I don't know if you remember, I made the comment that is exactly the same Amazon power supply that I used when I made my Project 6Men. Exactly the same. And it's fine. I'm like, okay, it's fine. It's fine. The good thing about that is if you have, if something goes wrong, you can definitely go pick up another one, so that's not bad. Just go to Amazon and pick one up. But it wasn't quite as polished and finished as I'd like. But hey, I figure, it is what it is, right? It's still not the end of the world. I used one. I know that it works, but it is what it is. So I was curious to see how, if that was going to be what they're just going to rock with that. That's it. And away you go. And okay, that's fine. But that's not the case. There was a couple design changes. This thing has gone through different iterations. We saw them add the headphone jacks on the front. So that's really good. The latest and greatest as far as design changes are going to be a more refined power supply. Now, this is obviously different. You've got the nice smooth white cage around that, which is really, I think it looks really clean. I mean, this is kind of a nerdy kind of technical thing, I guess. A lot of people don't really care, but I think this is a much more clean looking piece. The fact that they actually have a outlet, I don't know if you can tell, that black square is an AC outlet. So if you want to, depending on what you're going to rock inside there, if you want to have like a console or whatever, you're going to have an additional power plug you can plug into, just depending on what you're doing. It's nice to have options, and to break that out separately is definitely nice. You can also see kind of a disconnect switch on the right-hand side there, the red rocker switch. But the second image on the right-hand side down low is going to be something that caught my eye. And I don't know if this caught my eye in a good way. So a lot of people this kind of came up. Neo Sarah was put this out on Twitter, and it was on the Unico USA Facebook page. And I saw this, and I was like, well, what's going on there? And it's a breakout connector for a different controller type. The problem I'm having with it is not that, it's nice to have options, but why is it on the front of the cabinet? Why is it on the front of the cabinet? So to give you an idea of what we're talking about, there's a picture of the cabinet over on the Unico website right now, and you can see, it's kind of hard to see, but those two little black dots, that's where you plug in your headphones. Very subtle, very small. It originally wasn't there in the original concept design, but I guess they added it, and okay, that's fine. I don't really like the fact that the headphone jacks are there. I think it would have been better to have them on the actual control panel to the far left and the far right, so that player 1 and player 2 can plug in. Having them down low like that, I just don't know if I like that, really. But I don't even think it's really kind of an issue. I mean, if you're going to have an arcade, I guess it's nice to have, but I never really used mine on my Arcade1up's either. But to each his own. Maybe some people want to game late at night and they got kids in bed. That's fine, whatever. So I didn't really think that this was kind of a big deal. It's small, it's subtle. But when you include these connectors are kind of big. These connectors are kind of bulky. Now, I know this is a small thing. Maybe nobody cares. And I don't think my issue is not that the connectors are there, because I think options are great. Options are good. Look what you got going on inside. We talked about this. A JAMA connector. You're going to have different connectors, different ways to interface and plug into the monitor. And you can do all kind of cool stuff, right? The encoders are there and all that's great. And refining the design of the power supply is great. But when we're talking about these connectors on the front of the cabinet, I think that there is a fine line that we walk between form and function, right? Aesthetics and functionality. And controller ports are great to have. I don't think we should get rid of the controller ports. but do they need to be on the front of the machine? Because here's what it does. If you have a candy cab, if you ever played a candy cab, that's an area that you never really mess with. Right there that's just where the hinge is connected, and then you can hinge up the control panel, and then you can get inside and you can do what you got to do on the controller. To have something there is a little bit odd, a little bit awkward. I think it makes the machine look unfinished. The headphone jacks were fine. They were small. They were subtle. They were round. It's fine. Those don't really look clean. I don't like the way that looks. Now, I don't know that you're going to get anything in them. I mean, if they were facing up on the control panel, it's possible you could drop something down in there. You shouldn't do that. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think they need them on the front of the cabinet. They do not need to be on the front of the cabinet. If you're asking my opinion, I say, 1, you keep them. And then 2, you move them to the back. Move them to the back of the cabinet. If this is a controller, it's going to have a cord, and we can move that around. And we can, if you're going to use a controller, that's fine. But that's my question. That's one thing I really want to bring up. One thing I really want to raise. You've got 2 players, 8 buttons, all sandwall controls. Why would I need a different controller? I mean, unless you're trying to add functionality, like different kind of like spinners, I guess, trackballs. I don't know, but I mean, why would I need another controller? I mean, if you've got this set up like a traditional candy cab, it's already equipped with sandwall controls. You can swap those buttons out. You can swap out that joystick. There's possibilities. I think that most people are probably not going to take advantage of this. And maybe I'm wrong. But I think for something that is an optional thing, move them to the back. Move them to the back. This is a great suggestion. Or a great question, Well, maybe it's for the 4 players. That's also a great use of it. That's why I would not want to get rid of them for sure. I think you keep them, but move them to the back, because aesthetically, I don't like the way it looks. I don't like the fact that we're going to have these connectors right under where I should be gaming, And if we leave these things plugged in, I'm trying to remember how those connectors hang out. I mean, it looks like they're kind of like a VGA connector where you have bolts that kind of tighten it down, screws that you tighten it down. What kind of ports are they? They are, let me look this up. I apologize. I should have had this ready. Damn it, Fox. What are you thinking? I wrote it. I didn't. I was going to write it down. I did not write it down. I apologize. What they are, let's see. They are DB15 connectors. DB15 connectors is what they are. So, it's kind of obscure. I think that there has been some conversation about maybe going with USB. Instead for a more universal, connector. This is maybe kind of a deep cut, maybe something that's not a lot of people are going to have this type of connector anyway. It's going to be fairly specialized. I like the options. I like that it's there. I just don't think that it needs to be there. Have them there, have them in the back. A lot of people are saying, yeah, how about you put a cover on them? Yeah, they're I don't know that they are. I don't think that they are. But they could be. I don't know what the terminology is for the Neo Geo port connection. I don't know if that's the case, but I think that it should just, I don't put them there. Don't put them there. Put them in the back. Put them on the side. Put them somewhere else. I just don't think that is necessary. So while this may be not the end of the world, it may be not even an issue for you. I think aesthetically, you have to, power strips are very useful. There's a bunch of places you can plug stuff into them, but they're ugly. You hide them. You put them behind something. I don't want the form, to be. I don't want the overall look of this cabinet. I don't want that flow disrupted by connector ports on the front. This isn't supposed to be really a console. This is more of an arcade machine, running original hardware. And to have a big connector on the front, I mean, unless you're trying to pay homage to like the memory card slot for the Neo Geo cabinets back in the day. But even there, that was also very subtle. You had 2 headphone jacks and a single skinny controller or memory card slot. That was it. So I think minimalistic. The way you want to go here with a candy cab. You want to stay smooth. I would almost think that you just get rid of the headphone jacks altogether, because if you're going to have something on the front, what do you have to do? You have to label it. So you can't just have the port. You've got to have a label for the port. So now you're going to have these ports and then labels on top of them to denote what they are, right? You can't just, I guess you could just have them there, but it doesn't make a lot of sense for people who just bought the thing and they don't know what that stuff is. So you're going to have to have a label that says headphones left and right, or headphone 1, headphone 2. And then you're going to have controller port 1, controller port 2. And I think it's going to clutter it up unnecessarily. It's not necessary. I'm not advocating that you get rid of it, but I am saying that maybe, just maybe, how about we just move it somewhere else? But hey, that's just my 2 cents. Okay, moving on to Arcade1up's, what I'm calling Arcade1up's brand problem. It's not so much Arcade1up, the brand. It's somewhat of a dovetail of the conversation we had, I think, last week before, talking about Arcade1up's focus. It's not about you. That's what we talked about last week. I think that maybe, just maybe, we're starting to see some of the reasons why. I think this kind of took me by surprise as I was going to the Arcade1up website, as I do frequently, trying to see if there's something else going on, anything else going on. So let's take a look at this real quick. Let me go ahead and share my screen so I can show you some of my pain, my misery. Here we go. Okay, so go to their main page here. Let me make that a little bit bigger. You can't even see it. How about that? Or how about that? Let's do that. That view looks better. Okay. Well, I might be in the way. Let's do that. So look at their main page, and you can see this a lot of stuff we talked about last week, talking about, hey, we have arcades, but the infinity game table. Okay, that's I belabored that point. I want to beat that to death. You scroll down, you look at bestsellers, and there's ways you can search for different types of products. You get the classics here, which are all the peasant cabs. You know, we know what they are. Not much to look at there, really. But it was when I scrolled down to the brands. If you would shop by brands, I saw so many problems, so many issues. Shop by brands. So let's just let's just look at what they have, and then we'll talk about some of my issues. Well, I have a lot of issues. I'm not going to get me wrong. I have a lot of issues. Let's change this view here. Let's go to, no surprise, the biggest number, Bandai Namco, but they just call it Pac-Man, which is funny. 32 of these, and you scroll down, you see it's Pac-Man. It's every flavor of Pac-Man that is available now. And this is the thing you're going to see is as we go through this is actually everything that they currently sell now. And this is all the Pac-Man stuff you can buy now. It's so bad, the Projectorcade. I didn't really still sold that, but evidently they do. It's so bad, you're not going to believe this, all this other stuff, the tin signs, the stools and everything. And the HDMI console is sadly sold out, everybody. It's so insane that they still sell a button set for Pac-Man. Nowhere, they have gotten rid of every other part, but here you go. It's there. You know, you can buy buttons for there you go, the Couchcade. Button set for the Couchcade. Knock yourself out, right? Not something. But anyway, you get my point. If you're curious about Namco, you're not going to get Namco. You're just going to get Pac-Man. What kills me is that while you have Namco as the brand, right? Where's the Ridge Racer? Well, I mean, come on. Where's Time Crisis? Your brand new prestige, like your premier 3/4, the big bad boy, the one that you're just charging all that money for. Where is that? So it's a theme that you're going to see as we continue on. So let's get out of here. We know Namco is their their big thing. Warner Brothers, not really known for their game development or publishing, but okay, let's click on that. And what do you think you're going to see here? You're going to see Mortal Kombat, every form, every flavor of Mortal Kombat. Not Midway, which I know is kind of disbanded and doesn't really exist anymore. But still, if I was going to shop by brand as a gamer, I would know Midway more than I would know Warner Brothers, or maybe even I don't know. I mean, just call it Mortal Kombat. I mean, MK. If you want to shop by brand, Mortal Kombat, because that's all that's really here for the most part. I stand corrected. They sell button kits for your Rampage cabinet that you got in Gen 1. So there you go. You can even finance it through Klarna. So that's what the hell. And joysticks. So I love how they call these out. I mean, yeah, it's the color, it's the button set, but they work on every cabinet. And you're going to see also what they still, oh, geez, they still sell the lit marquee. Wow. So listen, hey, for those that you just want to hang on to your first and second gen, you still got options for replacement parts. That's crazy. Joysticks, the cheap joystick, sadly, is sold out. And at least they have some kind of diversity with Defender. I mean, at least that's something. But that's Williams, right? That's Midway Williams. That's not Warner Brothers at all. Unless did Warner Brothers make a Defender movie? I have no idea. Maybe I'm just off. Going over to Capcom is more of what you would think. Now, Capcom is a brand. It is the brand that is associated with gaming, right? And you're going to see that. Oh God. Well, so X-Men's here. I don't know. There's nothing about this. Oh God. So on this, we drink. Let's take a drink. So we have X-Men or the Capcom brand, which is couldn't be any more wrong. There's nothing here that's Capcom. None of the games that are included are Capcom. That's X-Men, no Capcom. So that's disappointing. Everything else makes some sense except for the Marvel pinball machine. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why that's there. Some of the stuff is a little bit questionable. Even the countercade, would this really be considered Capcom? I mean, yes, the games are made by Capcom, so I'll give them a pass on this. But there's only one game on this list that even features a Capcom property. Everything else is Marvel, which makes more sense or means something more when you consider the other brands that are up here, and Marvel's one of them. But before we get to Marvel, well, you know what? Let's let's go to Marvel. We just went to Capcom. Let's go to Marvel. Check this out. And we have Marvel stuff. This all makes sense to me. So why they're including that, it's just confusing. But I'm doing this not just to point out the issues that I have with their website. It's what they think of when they think of a brand. Let's go back to a brand that is synonymous with gaming, Konami. Huge, right? And let's scroll down and you see that, there you go. You've got the offerings, the standard 3 offerings, Turtles, X-Men in the right place, thank you, and Simpsons. That's pretty much it. But even though, this offers a little bit of confusion too, because if this was just Konami, if Konami was the brand, if Konami was the focus, right? The brand, the focus, Konami, why don't we have those games on the same cabinet? Why? Because Konami's not really the brand there. That's Disney. That's got almost nothing to do with Konami other than they are the actual, I mean, here the focus I think is correct, but in reality, Konami's not the brand. That's not really the brand. The brand would be Disney, basically that owns everybody. Atari, come on, a staple, right? A gaming staple. And you see that for the most part, this is all what you would expect from Atari, except the fact that the Atari 50th is just sad. The fact that the only deluxe that sports any kind of Atari branding affiliation is this just thing. It's not good. It's not good. But at least that's fairly accurate for the most part. Moving on to, you're going to love this one, the NBA. Let's go to the NBA. And when I think of NBA, I think of Star Wars. That's right. Star Wars is on here. Pinball. So I guess basketball. There you go. That's how they figured that out. Okay. Sure. But then how do we explain Marvel pinball? I guess the same thing. Pinball. I don't know. They are selling for $15 the basketball, knobs for your sticks. So I guess that's kind of cool. $15. I don't know. Hey, go ahead. Jump on that now. Everything else is it's NBA Jam. That's the only thing that has any kind of brand. How can we forget Attack from Mars? Once again, pinball. What are we doing? What are we even doing here? This makes no damn sense. Also, the thing that doesn't make any sense is NBA being a brand associated with arcades. I mean, yes, I know NBA Jam is in the name, but once again, we're talking Midway. That should be under that banner. That should not be under. I mean, the NBA doesn't make games. They are in games. They are a part of licensing. And then, of course, the NFL, this is probably the one that makes the most sense. It's just there's one. If you like the NFL, you have one choice. and one option, but at least that makes some sense. But once again, not the brand we should be talking about. Midway should be the brand we're talking about. But I think that the problem is they don't think that Midway is recognizable to all the people. Raw Thrills made me laugh. You have Big Buck Hunter, you have the Tin Sign, you have the Classic, you have the Pro. Where the hell's Fast and Furious? I mean, you only have 2 cabinets that are Raw Thrills. Fast and Furious is the other one. Where the hell is that? I mean, just call this the Big Buck Hunter brand, I guess. Makes no damn sense to me. But the biggest sin, the saddest thing, the biggest thing, and the reason why it's called out on the thumbnail of this video is right here. Sega. 1 cabinet. Now, to be fair, they did have Outrun, so they've had 2. Awesome. And that's really sad. And that, to me, is where we're at as far as their focus. The brand problem. They're looking at brands like the NBA. People know the NBA, right? But if someone is focused on the NBA instead of Midway Games or arcades, they're going to go at an NBA website. They're going to go somewhere else. They're going to go somewhere that's focused on the NBA and basketball. They're going to watch an NBA game. They're not going to really go to Arcade1up if their focus is NBA or the NFL or Warner Brothers. I mean, I would be pissed off if I was a Warner Brothers fan and I go like, where's Batman? Y'all ain't got no Batman? What the hell? You know? What the hell? It's because your focus is all wrong. The brands that you should be promoting are not Warner Brothers. They're not the NBA. They're not the NFL. They are arcade brands. Not just games, not just gaming companies, but arcade games developed and published by real brands, the brands that should be your focus. Incredibly monumental companies in the space. Let's talk about Sega. They have 1 cabinet from Sega, and it's a 3rd-gen cabinet. Now, I know Sega is expensive. I know it's top tier. It's top dollar. But it's not going to beat the $5 that I just got sent to me from Galaga Guy 88, $4.99. Thank you so much for your super chat, buddy. Really appreciate it. I think they had a meeting. Everyone got drunk, put all the cabs on the wall with brands, and started throwing darts. That's not actually a bad idea. That's probably the most. It is. It's the most likely scenario. Thank you, Galaga Guy 88 from the boiler room. This is for you, buddy.
Can't you do any better?
As I kind of started getting back into some of the real arcades, the games that I knew that Arcade1up was never going to do, they're not even going to take a stab at, I found myself constantly going to the Sega well. Now, in my arcade right now, as far as real cabinets go, I've got a Sega Astro City, that's more Japan. It's not necessarily North America. I have the Die Hard cabinet. I have the Crazy Taxi cabinet. I have the Star Wars trilogy cabinet. Now, a lot of that, is that Sega or is that licensing? Is that the IP that they got a hold of? Well, you can make that argument with maybe Star Wars and maybe Die Hard, but you can't make that argument about Crazy Taxi. Completely 100% Sega property. Sega goofy idea. Hey, how about we take a racing game and have you pick people up, right? And get them places. I'm talking about stuff like this, guys. I'm talking about beautiful cabinets, iconic cabinets from back in the day, from all different decades. Some of the most iconic cabinets, some of the most iconic games are Sega. I mean, think back. Obviously, we talked about Outrun. This is the Crazy Taxi stand-up, Golden Axe 4-player, Gunblade, New York. Just the shape of that cabinet. I'm talking about the one on the far right, lower right-hand side. That game cabinet, that style of cabinet, that's where you had your House of the Dead 1 through 4. That's where you had your everything. The Gunblade, also LA machine guns. That was an insane style of cabinet that they continued on into the other games where they had Ghost Squad. I mean, all kind of stuff. Terminator Salvation, same kind of style of cabinet. So that was an incredible cabinet. Daytona USA, Virtua Fighter, and then of course one of the most iconic arcade machines ever invented. Even though the game wasn't that great, it was the Afterburner Deluxe cabinet that actually rotated. That was insane. That was crazy. Talking about another colossal company, a brand, a real brand, and that's Konami. Talking about some of those now, they've got a decent representation of Konami classics at Arcade1up, but what about Sunset Riders? What about the Cowboys of Moo Mesa? What about something like Silent Scope? If you're talking about doing a cabinet like they did with the Casino Cave, where you have 2 screens, how about you take a gun and put a little screen in the gun, in the sight, in the scope? That would be sick. That would be a great kind of cool way to kind of have two different screens and have that really mean something. I couldn't even find a decent screenshot of the cabinet, but Metamorphic Force is a game. The sprites look almost identical to X-Men, the Konami X-Men cabinet. The game came out after X-Men, but I don't know if it could have been in development at the same time as X-Men. But Metamorphic Force, if you see it in arcade, check it out. If you have it on emulation, and maybe be like a Pandora's box, you definitely want to check it out because it's a really, really fun game. And when you play it, you're going to be reminded of X-Men. Of course, Contra, Russian Attack is a game that I played all the time. Blades of Steel, I was always intimidated by the control panel. I think I've seen it. I don't know that I've ever actually played it in the actual arcades. And of course, Lethal Enforcers, another one to just put on the top of the list as some of the most iconic arcade games out there. You just say the names of the games and people know immediately that's what they are. So when we talk about brands, Arcade1up's brand problem is not so much their own brand, which has taken a hit over the last year for sure. That's not even the biggest issue. The brand problem is the fact that they're looking at the wrong thing. They're looking at the wrong brand. The NBA is not the brand that you should focus on. The NFL is not the brand you should focus on. Warner Brothers is sure as hell not the brand that people come to a website called Arcade1up to check out. What they want are the brands of the iconic arcades from back in the day. The companies that laid the foundation, the groundwork, not just Atari and Namco, which you basically just call Pac-Man. And that's another thing where they miss the point. If you go to the Namco, Bandai Namco portion of their website, the brand, it's all Pac-Man. They don't even acknowledge the other Namco titles they have in the same wheelhouse. They already offer them. They don't even put them in there because they're thinking, Pac-Man, whatever. Yeah, the Namco Pac-Man, it's the same thing. These are supposed to be the people that are enthusiastic about arcades, making arcade cabinets for you and me and everybody else. And, listen, I don't think anybody that's been following this company for as long as we have, for years at this point, would be fooled into thinking that they actually care about the brands that you and I care about. Well, would you look at that?
What the hell?
Yo, the sign is real simple, B. It says wrap it up.
Fortunately, it is that time. We're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. But before we do, let's go ahead and head on over to the chat. Let's look at the poll question. The poll question was simply this: what effect has the AtGames issues had on your 4K purchase? 4 options. I own it and everything's great. Number 2 is I own it and this sucks. Number 3 is fix the issues and I'll buy one. And then number 4 is no buy, not worth the risk. 120 votes. Thank you so much, everybody, for voting in that poll. Let me go in the poll right now. And what happened? What did we do? Who came in number 1? Let me scroll down. Okay, so coming in 4th place with only 4% is I own it and this sucks. So that's okay. That's not terrible, right? That means that coming in at number 3 are the people that say I own it and everything's great, but that's only 7%. So we have 7% of you that have purchased it that are in this live chat that have said, hey, I got it and everything's good. So what do we have left? What's going to come in at number 1? Well, with a resounding 56%, the number 1 is going to be no buy, not worth the risk. That's sad because I do want to encourage companies to push forward and develop new products and come up with new systems and new features and new boards that really do drive us forward and give us better quality, give us more technologically capable machines. But unfortunately, when we see a company stumble this hard out of the gate, you're going to get these results. Hopefully they can fix this and hopefully they can turn things around. I would have voted in the fix the issues and I'll buy it category, which came in at number 2 with only 31%. So I'm right there with those 31%. Thank you so much for being here. The conversation is going to continue talking more about this, more about some of my projects and the things that I have lined up, and some of the other issues I have some of the other brands that we've been talking about. But if you want to be a part of that conversation, you have to be a member of the channel. Those of you that are a member, don't worry, sit tight. You're going to be redirected over to the other live stream where we will continue our conversation. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. Y'all have a blessed day. Have a safe week. I'll see all of you right back here